Rebah, originally from Brooklyn, New York. As you probably can already tell, my accent doesn't line up with the southern dialect down here, but I'm working on it. I've been with Bethel Colony now for about 4 months. I've got a Palestinian Muslim father, and I've got a Puerto Rican Catholic mother. And so, I mean, just that is enough for you to understand how I ended up at Bethel. You know, just the conflict at home is just amazing. I grew up in an Italian neighborhood, and I had a severe identity crisis. This was back in the early 70s in Brooklyn, and being Arabic was something that a lot of kids in Catholic school made fun of at me. Being Puerto Rican was something also a lot of kids made fun of. So I didn't fare well, and peer pressure was a big thing that I was always succumbing to. And after, like most people, to fit in, I started doing alcohol at 10 years old. I was an altar boy in the Catholic Church, and when the priest left, I would help myself to what was left over of the wine. And that led to other things. And by the time I was 12, I was smoking pot. By the time I was 14, I was doing a little bit of acid. And then my mother and father got divorced. My dad was very abusive, very bad gambling addiction, and several times my mother wound up in the hospital, and finally my dad had the strength. You know, actually my mom had the strength to leave my dad. She had never worked a day in her life. And so she took me and my two brothers. We moved to a Spanish neighborhood, which I was scared to death to live in. But in another effort to fit in, I found myself doing drugs with these random friends. And by the time I was 15, I was hooked on cocaine. Hated what I was doing. I wanted to stop. By the time I was 18, I joined the Marine Corps. Made a sincere effort to try to change, but the only thing the Marine Corps did was change the way that I looked on the outside. But on the inside, I was still the same old person. I tried getting married at 21 because, you know, a lot of people think a good woman will turn their life around, and some people it does, but for me it did not. I tried having a child. I thought maybe if I had a baby, I would be a responsible adult. And my wife was pregnant, and we had a beautiful girl together, Nick Rebah. And when I held her in my arms for the first time, I knew I was going to be different. As I held this baby, I knew that she mattered more than the drugs, she mattered more than the lifestyle, she mattered more than anything. Amen. And about 2 days after she was born, I found out that she had a heart defect, and that she would have to have open heart surgery. And 2 months later, after the operation, I saw the look on the doctor's face as he came towards me and told me my daughter had passed away. And that led to probably the biggest spiral in my life. I was high at the wake, I was high at the funeral. I couldn't cope with my daughter in this casket, dressed up in this beautiful little white gown, and everybody telling me that she's another angel. And I know everybody was trying to be nice, but it wasn't enough. I wound up in my first rehab. I changed people, places, and things. My wife and I moved to New Jersey. We wanted to get away from Brooklyn. About 2 years later, my wife got pregnant again. We had twin boys. And now I felt justified. I felt God had heard my cry. That, you know, now I was going to raise 2 boys. And my wife, when she went to labor, she had the boys, and the boys were born stillborn. And after 2 years of being sober, I used that as another excuse to go back out to the world and do what I was doing. I lost my wife. I lost my sanity. I lost my home. I lost my friends. I lost everything. I was homeless. In New York City, I returned, and my mom was so tired of seeing me this way, she begged me to go to a church in Manhattan called Times Square Church, Amen. Which was run by a gentleman by the name of Pastor David Wilkerson at that time. Never heard the gospel, but my mother was in so much pain that I went to this church and I heard him speak, and he had a place called the Timothy House. And I went to the Timothy House because I wanted to get clean, but I didn't want Jesus. I wanted to be different, but I wanted to do it my way, so I had a plan. I was going to get fed, I was going to get a haircut, I was going to sleep for a few days, and then I was going to go do my thing. Well, anyway, the first prayer meeting, I go downstairs, there's a bunch of guys praying. Never heard anybody pray out loud before. I was scared to death. I was ready to run out the door. But I got by myself, and I prayed one little prayer, and it was probably, as we all know, politically incorrect. I said, God, if you exist, I don't believe it. You have to prove it. That very night, in my room, I had a visitation from God. The room lit up with the brightest glory that I could ever even speak of. And a voice came out of the glory and said, I love you, you're my son, and I want you to follow me. And I got up that night knowing that Jesus was real in my life. Not in somebody else's, not in a book, not a historical figure. I knew Jesus was real. And I got up, I gave my life to the Lord, and from that moment on, I kept on serving God. I moved up quickly. I became a staff member. Then I went to Israel as a missionary for a year. And I got to work with a lot of people out in Israel and working with Arab and Jewish drug addicts. Then my second wife there had my firstborn son out there. My son is Jewish. So you got to see the irony in this, all right? Because I'm taking a Jewish baby from Israel back to Brooklyn to a Muslim family. You know, and so it's just comical. But the day my father saw him, my father loved him. It didn't matter if he was Jewish, Gentile, nothing. My father loved him. I kept on walking with the Lord, became director of the Timothy House. I went and served as a missionary in Buffalo, New York. Came back and I pastored Greater Piedmont Teen Challenge for 5 years in Greensboro. I went back to Brooklyn and I taught at the Bible college level at Teen Challenge Bible Institute. They were Berean approved. And God was doing many wonderful things. And then I had a moral failure, and the shame and the guilt from the place that I was standing, the place that I had just fallen was incredible. And I wouldn't let the Lord pick me up. I was content to struggle in my own vomit. I was content to just stay where I was, and I let the devil keep me there for nearly a decade. Wow. And I knew the Lord, he was chasing me. I knew the Lord wanted me, but I couldn't allow him to pick me up. I just stood where I was. But anyway, it got so bad. My wife had divorced me, and I ended up remarrying and having another 2-year-old. And this time I was, telling myself I'm not going to do the same things I'm doing. You know, my wife and I separated right now, but I continue to walk in the same pattern, and I nearly lost her. But a good friend of mine who went to Bethel, Pastor Todd Howardson, found me in Durham. And he said, Nick, you need to go to Bethel. And I was so broken, I was so lost, I was so tired. I had committed suicide, I made an attempt to commit suicide. I was locked up against my will at UNC. And I knew there was no way out unless Jesus had come for me once again. I came to Bethel, and I was broken, Pastor. I don't know, Pastor Swim, the first day I came in there, but I was like a whipped puppy. I couldn't look up to heaven. I couldn't ask God to help me. I couldn't speak to anybody. I didn't know what to do. But the one thing that I did know how to do was to go into that little white chapel that's on the hill and be alone by myself and just let God touch me, even if I didn't have a word. And day after day, I kept showing up. And you know what? God showed up. Amen. And God reminded me that, that he loved me. This was not the last chapter, that he was writing a brand new beginning. And I gave my life back to the Lord. I rededicated myself to his call, to his purposes for my life. Bethel has been instrumental in allowing me to get right with God and to see his purpose and his vision for me again. My wife and I are talking. There was a request I made to Pastor Dave when he was there ministering. I said that there's not a lot going on. He said he would pray for me. That very weekend, she showed up with my daughter and my son. That very weekend. And I knew God was working a miracle. I'm grateful today. I'm an VSP with the program. God is doing wonderful things. I look forward to what the future has for me in the Lord. But I know today that the devil is nothing but a liar. My calling, my gifts, they're irrevocable. They're still with me. God is still going to use me. This is my life verse. He said, do not fear, for you will not be ashamed. Neither be disgraced, for you will not be put to shame. For you will forget the shame of your youth and will not remember the reproach of your widowhood anymore. For your Maker is your husband, the Lord of hosts is his name, and your Redeemer is the Holy One of Israel. Amen. Thank you for letting me share.